I am today called upon to give my views on what I expect the budget to be. Before I get into what I expect the budget to be, let me use this opportunity to express my views on what budget ought to be, or what is it that we really need today in order to ensure that we have a seamless and a system which really does not create unnecessary hassles for the SSCs. I have always wondered as to why is it that our tax laws are so complicated that even the experts in the field find it very difficult at times to appreciate and understand it. What I really wish is to make the tax laws simple. Some of the amendments which have been brought in recent past probably are going to create complications which are unexpected. I would wish, and that is what I want the Honorable Finance Minister to look at, that the issues which are probably unintended should be resolved at an early date. Let me take 2-3 examples. Now the dividend income is taxable. However, if a company in turn pays over dividend to its own shareholders under Section 80M, to the extent it in turn distributes dividend, there is no tax liability. This provision, intended to relieve a company of its obligation to pay tax on dividend income, is likely to create unintended, I believe, complications if the dividend is received from a foreign investment. The reason being, if the dividend income received by the company in turn is distributed and benefit under Section 80M is claimed, the first issue that will arise is the residuary income, would it be taxed at a concessional rate on a premise that I have received for a dividend? And the second and more complicated problem is likely to arise as to whether in such a situation, the benefit of the taxes paid on dividend income would be admissible under the treaty. The revenue might as well contend that in as much as dividend income is not being taxed by virtue of exemption under Section 80M, we will not give you credit. If that happens, it will be most unfair to the SSCs. Let me take another example. Now, if you are to start a manufacturing company, you are entitled to benefit of a lower rate of income tax. But the requirement is that the company must make a choice as to whether or not it wants to go for concessional rate of tax in the very first year. Now, it's the first year of its existence and not the first year in which it starts manufacturing activity. This might as well create complications in case of all those SSCs who start a new company and in the very first year, they are not in a position to have the manufacturing activity, and they are not very sure as to whether or not they would go in for the manufacturing activity in immediate future. Once you have opted for the lower rate of tax, you are bound to go for that. And if you choose not to go for that because you are not sure as to whether or not you will have the manufacturing activity, then you are not permitted to go back for the concessional rate, even if at a later date you start manufacturing activity. The third example is last year on goodwill, now there is no depreciation admissible. This provision, which is brought in with retroactive effect, is creating serious complications in the matter of computing the dividends. High rates at which individuals are being taxed is obviously a concern. I would really wish the Honorable Finance Minister looks into that. Undoubtedly, considering the fact that there has been a strain on the government revenues because of Corona, I am not very sure whether the Honorable Finance Minister even if she is desirous of giving concession in this matter, would be in a position to do so. And the last issue, which I believe needs to be tackled, is the rumors or the talks every time budget is around the corner that estate duty law is being brought back in one or another form, which creates flurry of activity in trying to create trusts, other plannings for the purpose of ensuring that if at all the law comes back, then you are not hit. Maybe it's time that government makes out its position clearly. And if it is not being brought in, I'm aware government cannot pledge its position for all times to come. But if there is some such clarification, then unnecessary activities in trying to work out ways and means in the eve of budget for the purpose of avoiding the possible levy of possible law can be eliminated. The other usual expectations of increasing the slabs, increasing benefit under Section 80C, all those are routine things. I do not want to take the time of everyone over here. I really wish that if the country were to progress, and we have to progress, we need to have an investor-friendly atmosphere. And one of the most important factors for an investor to decide as to whether or not he should invest certainty in the matter of taxation. Certainty coupled with clarity, coupled with non-complicated tax administration. And therefore, this is one area where we really need to have far more serious thinking. And I would wish that this budget does some good work on this and create unnecessary complications, or take steps to ensure that unnecessary complications, both substantive and procedural, are eliminated. Thank you very much.